Some Muslims have the understanding that Shaytan and the Shayateen are away in some island somewhere. Do you know what their bodies are like? If you don't know what their bodies are like, if they exist in an unseen realm and we don't understand the physics, and there is a principle, and that is that the world of the unseen is not to be necessarily compared to the world of the seen. We may describe things in the world of the unseen in a way that we describe things here, but the reality between them is completely different. It's very important to understand this. Now, I'll give you an example as to why this is such an important principle to understand. Have you ever seen like these pictures that people put on social media? It's like a WhatsApp group chat, and people usually send this like in the beginning of Ramadan, and on the bottom it says Shaytan has left the chat. I don't know if you guys ever seen something like that. You know, people send around pictures and memes and stuff like this, right? Shaytan has left the chat. Some Muslims have the understanding that Shaytan and the Shayateen, the wicked Shayateen, are away in some island somewhere. And I don't understand why they get this idea. Look, the Prophet ﷺ, he tells us that when Ramadan comes, the Shayateen are chained up. Do you know what their bodies are like? If you don't know what their bodies are like, if they exist in an unseen realm and we don't understand the physics and how all of that works, then how do you know what the chains look like and what the chains are like? And why do we assume that they're not around anymore? If I chain you up right now, are you going to disappear? You're not going to disappear. So it's like, why are we thinking that they're not going to be around? So it's very important not to like jump to conclusions and to force an understanding on matters of the world of the unseen. And the most important aspect of this principle, that the world of the unseen is not to be measured by the world of the seen, is the names and attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you look at how Allah describes Himself with mercy, with knowledge, with hearing, with seeing, with lots of different qualities. And these are all qualities that we, in terms of the names, in terms of the terms that Allah uses to describe Himself, we use these terms to describe things. We describe a human being as hearing and seeing and having knowledge and all of this, but you got to understand that the way that Allah has these attributes is completely different than how we have them. This is important because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, sometimes He describes Himself with certain qualities that for human beings, let's say for example, Allah's anger. There's a hadith, the Prophet ﷺ, he said, "La taghdab," do not become angry. But Allah in the Quran, in several verses, He mentions that Allah has anger. But is the anger of Allah like the anger of the creation? No. When human beings, when we get angry, what happens? We lose control, we do bad things, we do all sorts of crazy things when we're angry. Sometimes we don't even know what's going on. We forget what we're saying. Okay, a husband might say to his wife, "I divorce you," and he has no idea what he's saying. At least that's what some people might claim. We do things when we get angry. Does Allah Azza wa Jal, when He gets angry, are there any of these deficient qualities associated with the anger of Allah Azza wa Jal? Absolutely not. It is a perfect anger that befits Him subhanahu wa ta'ala. So once again, the principle is that the matters of the world of the unseen are not to be measured by the matters of the world of the seen. This applies to paradise, it applies to the world of the jinn, and it applies to the names and attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We ask Allah to grant us understanding. Allahumma ameen.